This episode is sponsored by Zenro Clothing Co. Pick up your tees and or accessories at zenroclothingco.com and be sure to use offer code Socrates at checkout for 20% off select items. Also, if you're not into spending the money, just check out the Zenrail radio playlist. zenrailclothingco.com, music for your everyday. This episode also sponsored by The Pointy Bakery. If you're located in the Pointy area of Scarborough, Toronto, be sure to check out The Pointy Bakery, say what's up to Arville, and pick up a donut or two. Baked daily, crafted with love. This episode also sponsored by Podbean. Podbean is the podcasting platform of choice. It's the one that me and Vish use, and is great, you know, if you're looking to start that DIY podcast yourself. Definitely check out Podbean. Use the link podbean.com/SocraticGamers and gain 1 month of unlimited podcasting for free. Test it out, build that content. Anyone could podcast, right, Vish?
Yep.
Start a podcast and get your ideas out there. All right, enjoy the episode. That's a little louder. All right, so I have a bit of a hard stop at 10:30, so we'll kind of burn through these. But I was thinking about this yesterday. So I was listening to a podcast, and there's this person talking about how to go from like your mediocre goals into your amazing goals. Essentially. So like, you know, those like business podcasts where like people are like very motivating and they're like, oh, like,
Yeah.
you know, if you just did that, you know what I'm saying, right? I follow a lot of them. Like there's some marketers like Ask Vin, amazing, right? But I was wondering as I was listening to it, I'm like, what constitutes an authority figure? Initially, my idea was like, what constitutes success enough for you to want to listen to that person? But I think it's more about of an authority figure. So like, what constitutes an authority figure?
You're asking.
Like, okay. Yeah, no. I'm trying to figure this out myself because I'm like if. Okay, so basically, the person was talking about how you have to reframe your narratives in your mind, right? Like, it's straightforward. You and I talk about this all the time, and it's like, but how come? If you say it, like the host is like, oh my God, this is mind blowing. I've never heard this before. I'm like, well, it's like basic like spirituality, basically yoga stuff, right? But like, let's say they put you and I on a podcast and they're like, oh, tell us about something. And we're like, oh yeah, you know, you got to really reframe your thoughts in your mind and like build out your activities from there. Would they be like, oh, this is groundbreaking, that's ingenious? Or would they be like, well, what have you done? You know what I'm saying? So it's what is that point? What's that point where you're like, oh, you're an authority figure? I don't know. You know, and I have examples of other people like with the alien thing, right? Because like following aliens, there's a dude at Harvard University, Avi Loeb, right? Zero following online because he was like, oh, I'm just a scientist, like I don't care about social media, and now he's become a leading authority figure in that. But it's like, yeah, okay, you have your Harvard credential, you're a PhD, but like, what separates one PhD from another PhD? You know what I'm saying?
Right. I guess
you know,
I guess that would, if that's the case, if PhD is the authority, then anyone that's got a PhD would be the authority on it, right?
Right. Exactly. So it's like, okay, so we both know somebody with a PhD, you and me. So if we put him on this podcast, would we suddenly be like, oh, you guys are an authority figure because you have a PhD? But we both know it's like, okay, yeah, you can have a PhD, but just like every doctor, just like everyone else, it's like your expertise in one field doesn't make you an expert in all fields. And that's the illusion that we create.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't.
I'm like,
yeah, but I wouldn't think. I understand what you're saying, authority, but I wouldn't have put it on as a blanket for everything. Just authority on that specific topic.
No. For sure. That's a very critical thinking, logical mind. But I'm saying like, how do you differentiate? All right, here's a more salient, obvious example. You didn't watch that one. There's a documentary about a cult that got created because this dude went to Costa Rica and then he just rebranded himself. And then I forgot, Twin Flames. It's called Twin Flames. If you like watch the documentary, they're just like randoms. But then everyone's like, oh my God, I gotta follow you, you know the truth. And it's like, why? Like, why did we suddenly position you as an authority figure?
I think Well, I mean, it's just like the human thing where we put people in leadership positions, right? We look for people
Yeah.
to lead us in a certain way, right?
Okay, that's so funny because so I just finished Bleach. Okay, the so remember like, do you remember Bleach at all?
Uh,
Kind of, not
a
really.
little bit,
Well, how far
yeah.
did you get? Did you get to the main bad guy,
I only got
Aizen?
to. I don't even remember. It's been so long.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
I've just been in like it was like a filler part where I stopped, like one of the first set
Yeah,
of fillers. Yeah.
100%. I skipped all the fillers. Like I love that in Anime you can just like that's how I finished these anime so fast. I'm like, oh, dude, I'm not gonna watch the fillers. But so in the first part of the anime, I hit the second part. You know when they're like Blood Moon or something that everyone's talking about now. It's like Bleach is back.
Oh yeah,
It's
yeah.
terrible. It's like it's so junk. But the first one was really good when they were like trying to defend against Aizen. Anyways, so Aizen was saying in that everybody is looking for someone else to lead them,
hmm
and he was the bad guy. I think the bad guy had the most like truthful perspective. You know what I mean? Like they say the things that we want to say, but they sound bad.
hmm Sure.
You know, like Full Metal Alchemist, he's like, greed is actually not bad because greed's what motivates us into doing things, right?
hmm
So it's like what you said about we're all just looking for people to lead us, right? And I feel like that can be hijacked.
hmm Sure.
It's not really, I don't think it's the message anymore. I think it's the medium that everyone's looking at.
hmm
Do you agree?
What do you mean by it's not the message anymore?
So like you know, Bruce Lee, it's like you're looking at the finger but not at the moon. Like the treasure.
hmm
Okay, we're obsessed with the treasure map, not the treasure.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Like you know what I'm saying? Like the real truth is like the fact, right? Eisen said that too actually in Bleach. He's like, the only thing you can trust in this world is like hard evidence. You gotta like look at facts.
hmm
And I was like, yeah, of course. But like he's the bad guy. Anyways, so going back to that, it's like if you look at it objectively, yes, you're right. We'd be like, who cares about the messenger? It's the message. But I feel like everyone's getting caught up in the messenger now. Or maybe that's like has always been, you know, and that's why we create like leaders and gods. That's what Eisen was saying too. Wow, this is like a whole Bleach philosophy episode. But he was saying that too. It's like he's like we look to people to lead us, and that's how we get leaders, and then that's also how you get gods
hmm
because you keep putting them on these
Sure.
pedestals,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And like going back to the twin flames example, I'm just so hung up on the fact that we really are looking at the wrong thing. Like we're over glorifying the person. And it's like, what is that point of making you an authority figure? Because that's what an authority figure is, right? It's like, I don't actually know if you know the best about this thing. I'm just positioning you as an authority figure in my mind. So I'm going to listen to you. I'm just going to trust what you say. I'm going to try and like act it out,
hmm
right?
Yeah.
But, but how did you get there? And like, is it warranted?
Sure. Right. I
You know what I'm
understand.
saying?
Yeah, yeah,
Like you and I can say the exact same thing as somebody else, but it's like we're not authority figures because XYZ.
yeah.
And then I'm like trying to think, how do you make someone an authority figure? I think it's just marketing.
Well, yeah. I mean, it depends on where you're looking at for authority figure, right? So
Okay.
on what specific fields a religious person or a religious leader is an authority figure, but in that world, right? So in I don't know, let's say politics, it's not necessarily it's the leadership from the politicians, but then those you know within that there's like how things are run or studies are run, right? There's people that are in other positions that you have to basically end up trusting.
Trusting. Okay. Yes. Yes. Okay. That's a good point you brought up actually. It's about trusting. So so is it because we've put a suit on you and we've said, hey, you're the prime minister, you must know exactly what to do, that
Well,
we have
it's
trusted this person?
in that sense, but then that's where to hold their feet to the fire would be, that's the journalism part of it, to keep them on the facts of truth.
Right. But why do we? But okay, for sure. Yes, yes, yes. The journalism will keep them in check, but you don't always have that system in place. So I'm sure there's many cults out there that we aren't even making documentaries about, but they're probably leading a bunch of people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, why did you work but not somebody else?
Right.
All right, so I want to give an example, but I don't want to like make it too obvious. But okay, who cares? So when I was doing, I don't know if I want to out it that much.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, all right. So when I was doing a certain type of training,
Sure.
okay, the person that was leading the group was way more charismatic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but we would often meet before, and then that person would pick my brain, and I would explain a philosophical idea to them. Right? We'd like brainstorm. It's like what is the mind? All right, let's just use a like very spiritual example. It's like, what is the mind of no mind? And then we'd have like a whole discussion about it. And I'd be like, oh, it's actually, if you logically look at it, it's more like this. Da, 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 da. And then I noticed what I thought was, I was like, oh, you're testing me to see if I understand the concept. So I was like, I was showing you in multiple different ways through different examples, like I understand this concept, you know what I mean? And then I noticed that my examples and my thought process was what was getting taught. And I was like, oh, I was on the right path. It wasn't until later did I realize that you were just like hijacking my thoughts and then just not hijacking, like outright stealing my thoughts and then presenting them as like, this is the way. And then people were like, oh, this is so genius. And I'm like, looking back now, wait a minute, the message was the exact same. I came up with the message, but the messenger is what they coveted.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just wear some beads. Let me grow my hair long. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, that's what it is, though. It's the exact same thing as like business people, right? You'll listen to like, I want you to be successful. We're going to build your goals. We're going to do all this, right? And when I was listening to the podcast, I was like, why don't I just read the book, right?
Mm-hmm.
But because they didn't give any steps. So I was like, okay, I understand. Yes, you're motivating me to like go out of my way and like become this better version of myself, but you gave me no steps. So I'm like, that's me getting caught in the messenger. I'm like, you know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just get on the hook for $9.95 per month.
Yeah.
And like, you know, blah, blah, blah. But like, you didn't give me anything tangible.
Mm-hmm.
Right? For me, logically, I was like, well, what are this? I don't care. Yeah, sure. I get what you're saying, but like, how do I actualize this?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that's where I think all of that to say, like that's like a long way about it, but just to get to the concept of it is, this is the idea of herd mentality. And I noticed it more and more as like, I look at other people and it's like, well, what have you done though?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and even the people that we think are authority figures, my best example, I just saw it on social media. You know Rich Dad Poor Dad?
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen all
He's
those.
super broke now. Yeah. So what happened to you being an authority figure, bro? I thought you knew. You're the one who sold us this book on how to get rich, whatever, but now you're broke? Make no sense.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I'm like, so how did we position you as an authority figure? We thought you had the answer. Turns out you weren't even listening to your own lessons.
Right.
But the person who listened to lessons isn't doing a podcast. The person who listened to lessons is like in Hawaii or something.
Mm-hmm.
They read the book. They're like, yeah, you're right. All right, cool. I'm just going to go do this. Right?
Sure.
This is my conundrum.
It's hard to,
You know?
Yeah, it depends, right? Because
You see what I mean, right? This is my brain teaser.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
get it.
Yeah, I mean, just even that thing too, right? Just because someone wrote a book doesn't mean that they know everything what they're talking about.
Exactly. Yes. And 100%. And
You can really only know. I feel. I mean, that's, you just have to do it yourself and you figuring it out. But you can't, if you go out there I don't know. You just being an authority figure then just adds other things to it. I don't know if I think that's the issue here, where we just maybe we as humans just fall to the prey of it's a person, right? We what's the word, like, yeah, put them on a totem pole or
Pedestal.
whatever, right? Yeah, on a pedestal. Yeah, it's
Pedestal.
just
Yeah.
it's just the normal. It seems like we always been doing that, like as a
Yeah, we
species.
right. For sure, for sure. And I think that it's commercialization again.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
get
okay.
ready for this. Right, no, right? So I think that we need to put you on a pedestal because that's how you make your money. So if you make your money as a business consultant,
Hmm.
right, then we need you need us to put you on a pedestal.
Hmm.
So you have to create some sort of weird disconnect, okay? And I've noticed this, okay, with like my own training, right? Remember we kept talking about like the commercialization of the art, right? So like if I need you to make to give me money for something, I need to make it as easy as possible. I need to let you think I have all the answers. I need to market myself as like your solution to life,
Hmm.
right? Whereas people who are not making their money off of the thing that they're teaching, they are able to be like, take it or leave it. This is the truth.
True. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So not even talking about martial arts now. Jeremy Corbell, he just put out the alien doc on Tubi, right? I was telling you about it,
Hmm.
the UFO revolution. And in that, he talks about how he makes his money. And he's like, I made it through investments. I have properties. I don't make any. I'm on this talk show. Right? I was just watching him on Steve-O, and he's like, I don't get paid for these appearances. And Steve-O was kind of like,
Hmm.
don't say that. You know what I mean? Like, but it's the interesting truth about all of the media runs,
Yeah.
right? If you look at right, like if you go to a press junket, something like that, you don't get paid for those moments.
Hmm.
Like the back end money, the reason why they give you millions of dollars an actor is because you know you have to go do those like
Sure. Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
I'm sure
Yeah.
it's contracted in your thing, right? It's like a part of this money, aside from acting, is also to promote the film,
Hmm.
right? So if you don't make it about the commercialization, like if Jeremy Corbell doesn't make money off of the UFO docs, then he could put out the truth. It's like, hey man, take it or leave it. This is the truth, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's where we get skewed. It's like, is it money that makes us an authority figure? Or is it the way we live our lives? And then this is my differentiation point. Because when I was listening to the podcast, I was like, you didn't tell me the steps to grow my infinitely scalable business, you know? They're just like promising me it, right? So so yeah, I feel man, I lost my train of thought there. Because I was just thinking about like how bad that was. But yeah, if you if you are constantly if you're constantly looking if you're constantly looking as money as the benchmark, then you're not going to find the true answers. You have to look at the way somebody's living their life. Does that make sense?
Hmm.
So it's like if I okay here, um, if I want to learn how to be in a good relationship, okay, I'm not going to listen to a podcast about somebody who's preaching to me. If you just buy my book, you'll learn how to be in a good relationship. I'm
Sure.
going to look
Yeah.
at the person who has a good relationship. I'm like, hey, dude, how'd you do that?
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's how I personally filter my information. It's like, do you have something that I see that I want to exemplify?
Right.
And I think that that's the missing piece in this whole thing. It's like in the cults people, you know, like when they're like, oh, twin flames, you'll have the best relationship of your life, right? Well, what is your relationship like with your partner right now?
Hmm.
And also realize that that's only a glimpse of what I get to see. I don't get to see the whole thing.
Right.
Do you get what I'm trying to say
Yeah.
here?
Yeah. 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 It's not just the surface level. It's also like
Yeah.
how you live, how you, like everything about you. Right. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's what should make you an authority figure.
Mm-hmm.
Like exemplarship. You have to walk the walk,
Yeah,
not just talk the talk.
yeah, exactly. If you're preaching something, you should be doing what you're saying. Like depending on what
Yeah.
you're saying, yeah. So if you're not following that itself, right,
Yes.
then that comes into question what you're saying.
Yes. Yes. 100%. 100%. And I think that, like, because jiu-jitsu is the most salient example, like, the reason why I like jiu-jitsu so much is it's, aside from like it being a physical activity and all the benefits, blah blah blah. It's either it worked or it didn't.
Mm-hmm.
You can give me all of the sales pitches, right? You're like, no, if you just like you just hold them in this position and then you flip over them, because we do drills, right? Basically, we do like step by step breakdowns of the move, and then we drill the move.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but in my head, every time I look at a drill, I'm like, have you pulled this off before?
Right.
Before you teach me the drill,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And um, not to toot my own horn, but certain people that I like train with, I don't really like to teach anymore. It's like too many strings attached to that until we get to Scarborough Soldier Club. But there's always this like there's always this like click in people's mind that I train with, and there's like, oh, this is like the best lesson I ever had. Not to toot my own horn, but they always say that, right? And I'm like, because I'm showing you what I do,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm letting you feel what I do, right? I'm not like, there are so many people that are like, first go to A, then go to B, then go to C, and then you got the win, right? But unless, like, that's knowledge, but unless you execute it, then you don't have like the experience paired with the knowledge,
Sure.
right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like the reason why they're like, oh my god, they're so sick, is because it's like, I will only show you something that I know works because I'm pairing knowledge plus experience. Why would I teach you something that's fake? And then for them, because I'm tiny, right? So if I can make it work, they can make it work, right? So like that's why I like jujitsu, because it's like it's true or it's not.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you go outside of jujitsu, you go into the world of like theory.
Sure.
It's like that's all we're playing in. Theory is just imagination.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where marketers can hijack the system. If I make you think I'm an authority figure, if I have a big following, if I have like a lot of like likes on something, oh, he must know what he's talking about. I was like, do I know what I'm talking about?
Sure. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
use your critical mind. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
And I've run into that quite a bit as a marketer. Like my cousin was like, shout out you. If you remember who you are. He was like, hey man, you have a huge following. Well, not huge, but like you have like a bigger following than most people, right? I was like, oh, it's fake. Don't worry, it's fake. Don't worry. Don't listen to that stuff. You know? And then like even Tara was like, oh, I saw you, all these people like your name. Like, it's fake. Don't worry. Like, I don't, even if it's real, I don't believe it. Because to me, I'm just putting out that content because I find value in that content.
Mm-hmm.
And if you find value too, cool. If you don't, whatever. Right? But you need all those signals, those peacocking moments to make other people believe.
Sure. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And like, how warped is that? As like, you couldn't just listen to me? Like, I knew as a marketer, I'm like, I need to do these things. I have to. If I had like 0 followers and like, 10 million people I'm following, and I just kept posting content, who would listen?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
Think about that.
Yeah.
Right? No, but like really though,
Mhm.
like that's crazy. It's the package. You have to package it nicely,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
Agree? Disagree? What are
No,
your
I
thoughts?
agree. But that's the world of social media. It's just
Totally. And that's why I think it's the most fun place to spend time, because it's not real. It's like you can make whatever you want to believe real. I could take so many photos of me like making you think I'm rich,
sure.
but I'm not rich.
Yeah.
I can make you think.
But how
You know
many
what I'm
times
saying?
is that? That's happened so many times, right? You can.
That and then you find out it's fake, and you're like, oh, bro. Remember Liver King? He's like so jacked. He's like, yo, I only eat natural stuff. And then you find out he's on steroids. You're like, well, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I
yeah.
feel like this is a problem.
but
right?
that's yeah. But that's the internet, though, right? This is the
Yeah.
social media world. It. None of it's real.
None of it's real, bro. None of it's real. Again, that's why I like jujitsu. It's real or not. Like, does the move work or not?
Hmm.
You could tell me a million times, you know. And it's funny because it's like, okay, you can get it to work, the move, but maybe it's just it'll work for you and your body type, but not until you can make it work across the
Sure.
board. Then I'll be like, oh, this is a useful tool.
Hmm.
If everyone can pull it off at any moment, totally cool. But I don't want to go into too much jujitsu. I'm just talking about
Yeah.
like the fallacy of our digital world,
Hmm.
you know? Okay, so check this out. So Snoop Dogg, he's the one who really tipped me off on this. He's like, you can be um, Instagram famous, but you're broke.
Hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, that's true. Like Snoop Dogg's all about like, what's the money? Like, how much am I actually making?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and I've seen this so many times. It's like, so like, all right, I won't name the person, but this person made like overnight, organically, no tricks that I have. Um, they just built like a huge following, like over 100,000. Okay. Overnight. It took them like a week because like, the content was so great. So then you try and sell something, zero conversions.
Hmm.
So what was the point? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
what kind of world are we living in? It looks good, but your bank account's telling you it's not good,
Hmm.
right? So what do you want? You want to be like fake, famous, and broke, or anonymous and rich?
Yeah, anonymous.
Like,
Yeah. Right.
you're right. It's what again? It's like what is the truth here? Like, you know what I'm trying to say?
Hmm.
Right. And I think it's interesting too because this actually applies. So if you're listening to this and you're a marketer, great, because this is the tip. So I was doing um I was being asked about metrics. Okay, like, oh, like, how much engagement do we have? Blah blah. We should boost our engagement by doing this. You can make more engagement if you do this, right? And then I was like listening to the person who was trying to tell me this, and I was like, yes. My only point of contention is that let's say I get you 1,000 likes on a photo, but you have zero people that paid for the thing that you bought.
Hmm.
Like, did I do a good job? I don't care about engagement. I care about conversion. And they were like, oh. So I'm like, so what is your end goal
Right.
for a company?
Yeah.
Because it's more dire. Like, as a person, it's like, whatever, who cares? But like, as an organization,
Hmm.
I think we need to move in this direction as marketers. I've been saying this for like a long time. Like, well, just because I realize how fake social media is. I was like, if you put somebody's um, performance review based on growing metrics, then it's like we're building nothing because I could fake that for you.
Hmm.
And the person I told was like, oh, what? But industry standard people all want high metrics. Do you know what I mean? It's like, what are we going for as a society? Realness or fakeness?
Whatever works to sell.
No, 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 right, for sure, for sure. Like, but that's the thing. It's like it's the conversion. You're looking
Sure,
at
sure. Or
like
I don't
what's
want to
what you
say
just said
that.
is the conversion.
Okay, when I say that, I'm saying not that you're getting conversion. I think it's how you convince your story is supposedly going to convert people. That's the thing that you're selling.
No, no, for sure.
But
No, no, totally. Like, no, no, I'm not talking about the tactics. I'm saying like if we at our core are looking at the wrong thing, Elon Musk, ask ask stupid questions, get stupid answers.
hmm.
Right in the book, the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the answer to the meaning of life is 42.
Hmm.
Okay, and then what that really means is it's not the answer, it's the question. So by asking the right questions, you can get to the answer of 42, but you have to ask the right question.
Sure. Okay.
Like okay, hold on. Uh Wrench.
Hmm.
You're like, what the hell? But that's the answer. The question is, how do I unscrew this?
Right.
Right? So it's like you need the correct lead in, or else you're gonna get the wrong answer
Hmm.
for the,
Right,
you know what I'm
right.
trying to
Yeah,
say?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, right. And looking at society as a whole, I feel like we're all asking the wrong questions. Do you know where I'm going with that?
What do you mean by wrong questions or society as a whole?
Like, how do we stop climate change? That's
Hmm.
a that's a that's a dumb question.
Hmm.
The first thing would be what's causing climate change?
Right.
You see what I mean? Like, see the difference there? It's like, how do we stop climate change? Okay, well, you bike to work, whatever, right? You have infinite answers. But if you ask first, like, what's the root cause of this? Like, what's causing climate change? Then that would lead you to where you need to fix certain things.
Right. Makes sense. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right? So it's like, that's why the question matters more than the answer.
Hmm.
Because you need to, like, the question will lead you down the correct path. The correct question will lead you
Right,
down the
right.
correct path.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't think we have a society that's built around asking the right questions. Maybe it's just critical thinking. Maybe we're just not critically thinking as a society anymore.
I think it's not. That's one of the things I hear. Like, it's not being taught to think
Okay.
critically.
Interesting. Go on. Like,
Well, when do you? I don't think I've heard. I don't. Can't remember if I've heard the word think critically in school.
yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
That's where it
Like, what does
starts,
it mean to
really.
think critically?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
We're just learning about
Because what
answers. We're not really learning about critically thinking of the
that's,
question to the
yeah,
answer.
that's a good
Or
point.
right.
That's it. That's a good point. Because, like, why are we learning all these, like, physics? And, like, I need to learn tax money, bro. I need to learn, like,
Sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
investments. But you're filling my brain with unneeded answers. And that's why we have the problems that we're having now,
In some way, yes.
you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I feel, because, like, okay, I was also talking to this other person, like, I guess every generation is always like, oh, the next generation's gonna be bad, the next generation's gonna be bad. But, like, I think that I do really get a sense that we're just building more and more confusion into the next generation.
Yeah, I think
You know what I'm saying?
in some way, yeah, yeah, and I think that there is an issue. Like we like this, right? We went into the fossil fuel world. It changed
Okay.
our industry or our world, right? In just 100 years.
Yeah.
Social media is going to be the same thing.
Yes.
It's
I
this is the
100%
beginning.
agree.
We don't realize the issues that I think somebody said it. I think even was it Seth MacFarlane or yeah, that's like we're better off with like smaller groups of people to talk with, right?
Yeah.
Like having a small group of friends or things like that. But we're in a world of social media, getting influenced by so many more people than we're used to. We
Yeah.
don't know the
Yeah. 100%.
ramifications of this level of connection that's going to have on us as a society. That's what I'm saying, that this is the beginning of this new. Social media seems good. Yeah, seems fun, but I don't know what's going to happen in another 100 years from this.
Yes. 100%. And it ties back to what we're, like, all the tricks I was saying with, like, social media. If
Yeah.
social media is fake,
And it's easy to get influenced by that. Because how it's
exactly.
written, right? What's the algorithm based on? It's reaching our hitting all our like points to make us happy or make whatever those feelings are. That's what it's running on, and we keep
Yes.
scrolling.
Yes.
Right, the whole idea of social media is to make us keep scrolling.
Yes. Yes. And that is not, like, the things that you're scrolling on are just a tiny window
Mm-hmm.
into what it's really like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if you're,
And if you have signifiers,
the thing is like, yeah, if you're just getting negative information, your whole worldview is this whole world is messed up, right? And if you
Yeah,
keep,
facts,
and
facts,
if
facts.
that's your daily life is like that, I don't know. Like this is such a, what's going to happen to you in 20 years if that's every single day is
No,
like
for
that,
sure,
right?
for sure, for sure. And it's like, again, the natural authority figure of it being online
Mm-hmm.
makes you think it's real,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So it's like, aside from even like the peacocking tricks I was talking about, which is like big
Sure.
followings, lots of engagement, whatever, the mere fact that you create a video makes me think that there's legitimacy to that thing. Like, all those social like
Yeah.
these hacks that they put on reels, right? And you're like, I don't know if that's true or not. Like, they're like,
No, like
I saw
just
this one where it's like,
yeah, like
yeah,
we see it all the time where we just see someone talk about some information or some,
that's what I mean.
yeah.
Yeah.
What is? How do we know this guy that you're telling the truth? But it's just it goes in the category of having a person say it. Like this is how these mechanics work, where we think it's real, it's believable.
That's exactly. We're building a future of Fugazi.
Mm-hmm.
Fugazi means fake. So it's like, it's not, it looks real, but it's not real. So like, I saw this, my sister sent me this one video of like, a great way to floss your dog's teeth is give them frozen chicken. Okay. But I know that my vet was like, if you give them like chicken bones, like cooked chicken, like if you give them like cooked chicken, there's a chance that the bone will splinter and it'll cut them open. And the video was like, yeah, but if it's a frozen bone, then it won't cut open because it'll crush. It won't actually shard. And I was like, who's willing to bet their dog's life on that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's like, but you made this video.
Mm-hmm.
You spoke like an authority figure. You made me believe it's real.
But who knows?
And like,
Let me just add. Who knows? Maybe this person actually just wants to kill dogs.
right. No, 100%. But this is the crazy part. It's like, this is why I keep saying marketing matters. It's literally like, this is what we're all in.
Mm-hmm.
You can't market to me. Okay. You can market to me in real life, right? But it's a harder sell than online. It's way easier to make you believe something online than
Sure.
it is to
Yeah.
make you believe it in real life,
Mm-hmm.
because the vibes are off. Going back to that, the thing we said in the beginning with like the beads and the long hair, like the
Mm-hmm.
positioning yourself as like a highly spiritual being. So I fell for the marketing. I was like, okay, because I was like a novice marketer, and like, you see the beads, you see the hair, you see like the Hindu words,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, you must know what you're talking about. But then when you met this person, you were like, that guy's weird. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? No, he knows what he's talking about. But it's a harder sell for you because the vibes were not there.
Mm-hmm.
You were like, oh, the vibe is off. It's weird. Something's going on.
Right.
Right. So, like, when you're face to face with something in real life,
Mm-hmm.
it's way harder to lie than it is to lie about something online.
Right. Yeah.
The only problem is we're moving more and more towards online.
Yes.
It's wild.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
You know? Crazy. Like, and that's why I'm worried about like where we're headed, because it's like, what reality are we playing in?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what can you trust? The problem is
Sure.
nobody even knows this.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we're saying this, but like, not common knowledge.
No. It's not.
And I thought it was. This is the crazy part. It wasn't. I was having this conversation with
Mm-hmm.
Tara actually, and we're like, she asked me a marketing question. I'm like, oh, obviously, right? And then she was like, remember that what's obvious to you is not obvious to me. Just like if I said, like, you're like, how is this health thing where, oh, it's obvious, dendrites or
Right.
something,
Right.
And then you're like, oh, I didn't know that. But it's because of our experience. We frame what we know as common knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because it's
Yeah.
common to
Of
us.
course. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But it's not common to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And we forget that. And that's not framing. That's why you have discrepancy between people, because you're framing their reaction based on your reaction. But if you took yourself out of the equation, you're just like, okay, I think this, but you might not think
Mm-hmm.
this, then you have a more cohesive opportunity for people to get along,
Sure. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
But I feel like we don't do that. We don't give ourselves other people like the grace to do that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. That
Yeah.
yes, yeah. That comes into a problem when when you think that your vision of the world is the factual or the only truth.
But right, but I think that's a mental trick. I think that's like an innate problem we have that we need to learn about.
Mm-hmm.
It's no different than like everybody thinks that they are their mind. Right? Not everyone. Most people.
Sure.
If you're like, "Oh, what's your mind?" You're like, "What are we talking about?"
Mm-hmm.
Can you pinpoint your mind? Most people can't
Yeah. Right.
because they don't even know they have a mind. They just think they're just like doing this thing, right? But if we like that little bit of common knowledge is again, I don't know how else to say this, but like just it's not so common,
Sure. Yeah. 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 Of course. Yeah.
but we think it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like you and I think it is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Well, yeah. I don't think I would say it is, but like yeah. I don't think I've always think that yeah, everybody has their own different experiences, right? They don't live the same life.
but that's not common. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
Like but I think that that is a fundamental component of human beings. We are like it's almost like we need a manual to be like these are all the important things about your body. And if we all had that manual, we'd all have the same starting place because we all have the same the same foundational components and then we build from there.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm trying to say? It's like we all have a mind. Okay, this is how your mind works. Okay, this is how you hijack your mind. Do we all have a body? If you do this to your body, this is what's gonna happen. But we don't know that, so we're all just like kind of guessing at reality,
In some ways, yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's like one of the biggest disservices that the educational system does. They don't really like you have health class, but like health class is not really the same, you know?
Sure. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Not saying that things shouldn't
Or maybe
improve, but I think I mean there's always levels for improvement, but before there wasn't any kind of school at all, right?
right. Okay, I was just gonna contradict my own thought process because I
Mm-hmm.
was like, wait, but technically school's pretty new, so they
Yeah, that's
don't
what I
really
say.
know what to. It's always like evolving, I
Yeah, yeah, we're
guess.
still changing. Yeah, of course. But like, I mean,
Like the
it depends on
like
what you mean by new. But yes, in the grand scale of things, yeah, it is new, right? There's more people. What we say is there's more people that can read now than ever before, right?
right.
Right before older, like, yeah, even World War II generation, and before that, a lot of people that couldn't remember the newspaper one. The guy would go around and just read newspapers to them.
Yeah,
They didn't know anything that was
as
going
news
on in
from
the
the
world.
world or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, yeah, facts, facts, and like maybe what we're witnessing now is a turning point of that thing. All right, the reason why I say this is because like there's a lot of momentum now as people start to wake up, right? Like you. Okay, wait, hold on. Let me backtrack for a second. I was talking to this person, and they were kind of like they're younger than me, but they were kind of grew up at the same age, and they were like saying to me, you know, I can't believe that we live in this world of uh, like you know, genders and like all that, and like cancellation.
Hmm.
like we just weren't when you and I were kids. There was only two genders,
Sure. Yeah.
right? And then he was saying, he was like, usually back then, the person who didn't fall in line just got bullied. And I was like, but here's the trick: those people that got bullied got really smart. The bullies didn't go to school. And then now who's running those big organizations? And he's like, oh my God, that's so true. Like the people that were thinking outside the box, more long term, right? They're like, we need to make a space for ourselves. So they start running these companies and they create all these initiatives, right? Not saying they're wrong. I'm just saying that like that's kind of how it happened. That's literally how it happened. If you look at it, it
Mm-hmm.
stemmed out that way. So now fast forward to what we're talking about, and it's like people are starting to wake up. The next people in power are going to be the people that are already awake to this fact that you have like a mind and like all that stuff. And they're going to set the curriculum for the next generation. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like think about the work that like Tara's doing in schools,
Yeah.
right? That's very powerful stuff
Mm-hmm.
to like teach kids like you have a mind, you have a body, build a relationship with your mind and body, blah blah blah, right? And with that, it's like what are those kids going to impart? Like it's the evolutionary process of education. So me saying like, well, why are we this way? Maybe it will course correct itself naturally as this generation gets into power.
Mm-hmm.
Because you and I are going to start to get into like we're older, right? So
Yeah.
as boomers phase out, then you become like the new manager, and then who sets the precedent for the manager? What's the thought process for the manager? Well, if you're quote unquote woke, then you're going to naturally shift the system in this way,
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah.
right? So like, so maybe it will just solve itself in the future.
It could. Yeah. Or we just end up finding ways to solve it. Yeah.
Like maybe these discussions of you like oh, this is a
Mm-hmm.
problem, this is a problem. Like this is actually how it does get solved by having these conversations, right?
Yeah.
Because I was thinking about this too. It's like back then you've heard of like a tomboy,
Yeah.
right? But what would that constitute now as?
Oh,
Would
like
that be like I would that be like I don't identify as either?
a they.
Would that be a thing that maybe,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like we had that. So maybe like back then they were having these problems and they're like, how do we like
Sure.
just
Yeah.
having
Yeah.
discussions, and then like, okay, when I get into power, I'm going to make it like this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to start spreading the word, you know, which is how what's happening now with like the wokeness, like naturally by having any discussion, you build a solution,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Now my question is, who's having the discussion? Are we losing this discussion through cancel culture? Can we not discuss things openly?
I think you can discuss things.
But you'd be canceled.
You could see it online all the time, though. When you say cancel, it depends what you mean by that, too. Where was it being canceled? How?
Okay. How about like censorship? Let's say censorship, not cancelization. Wow, this camera is bad. Well, she got darker. Hold on. Yeah. Oh no, it didn't work at all. So
Censorship or cancel censorship
like
on social media
yeah,
platforms?
sure, we'll go with censorship. Cancellation is like a very extreme example. Sure, let's go with like censorship.
Censorship. Well, it's a problem with if you're using social media platforms, that will be because they're private industries.
And they get to choose what makes it on and makes it off those things.
Sure, yeah. Or um, what gets like more
Promoted. Yeah, I
promoted.
know what I
Yeah,
mean.
yeah,
Yeah, like into the algorithm feed.
right. That's all based on money too, right? So, because they rely on advertisers. If advertisers are not going to advertise on your platform, because there's too much of this, too much of hate, then they're not going to be
Yes.
on that platform, right?
But this is what I mean. This is exactly what I mean. It's like, how can you openly discuss? This is why you have vacuums, because one side thinks they're super right, the other side thinks they're super right, and
This is
the
the
only person,
issue. Yeah, this is the issue with social media.
yeah,
The only discussions that can
the
happen
control.
are in person, or these sort of things. Like, there are places where these discussions are allowed to happen, but again, because it's going to be it's right. If Instagram's one way, then that's why or like when before Twitter was one way, that's why Telegram existed or came to exist. But then Telegram's only going to have the people on the right side, right?
Right. No, facts. Yeah. Maybe this is, all right. All of this to say, this is a really long discussion about one topic. All of this to say, I think that Elon Musk was right. The one who rules the memes rules the world, because memes are just packets of information.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can't freely discuss information, then you can control where society's going to go, because you're controlling the narrative.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
You agree? So we just we talked about how discussion is how we build a solution. But if we're not open to discuss anything, like there's certain things we can't discuss. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't even need to think too hard about it. It's like, I'm sure there's so many things that you and I both know we can't discuss.
Sure. Yeah.
Without getting in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Whereas before, you could discuss those things and not get in trouble.
Depends
Or no,
on
you think
depends on where you mean by you can discuss these things. I still don't think you could discuss those things in a big forum area, like in front of a
interesting.
classroom of things. You're gonna discuss these things amongst your friends. There, you would still control yourself as to what you can say amongst a much more larger people.
Which 100%. Okay, so which is funny, because it's like, it's exactly what we were just saying. It's like, if you're like, what is real? The medium of social media is plagued with too many viruses,
Mm-hmm.
idea viruses. But if you're off social media, you can have a real discussion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because it's safe. It's like, it's only, there's a reason why comedians, like if you go to Joe Rogan's club, you have to lock up your phone.
Yeah.
You're not going to film this, because the jokes that they're going to make, if they go viral,
Sure.
it'll cancel
Right.
the person.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the world we're living in. Controlling of information.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Which is interesting too, because have you heard of Operation Mockingbird?
I'm not sure. It sounds. I don't know. I've heard Mockingbird, but I don't know if Operation Word was in front of that one before. Yeah.
Okay, so Operation Mockingbird is when the CIA paid. Although, again, I didn't read a book on it yet, so that's what I heard through the grapevine. So maybe it's fake. But I could read a book on it. I should read a book on it, because it's interesting. So the CIA paid reporters to run specific stories and cancel specific stories.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, this lighting is terrible today. Look at this. Anyways, but you know what I'm saying? Like, so I think they knew that if you control the medium, you control the message, you control people.
Right. Yeah. Because that's what people were reading at the
Right.
time. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, kind of fixed it. But this goes back to the thing of the one who controls the memes controls the world.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That being said, that's how they're hiding UFOs. Yeah. Think about this. I was gonna throw in UFO stuff in there.
I was gonna add. I rewatched.
Okay, there you go.
When did you when did you last see Interstellar?
It's a long time ago. Why?
You should rewatch it, or maybe I'll show you some clips from it.
Okay, why?
They were talking about gravity and time
That's what I said.
in that
That's what
one
I
too,
said.
right?
No, I cut that up. No,
Oh, you cut it up?
that's why I
Yeah.
was telling you, like, yeah, because I was like, that's why freaking I think Christopher Nolan knows the truth. That's what I've been telling you. Like, every movie is like, dude, you're talking about aliens, bro. I just didn't know you were talking about aliens.
Right. No. But he also said,
Yeah.
oh no. Yeah, there was a scene. I don't know if you remember this one. They always kept calling it they, right? Who's they? In the like when
And
the
it's us.
anomalies, yeah, when anomalies were happening, or the
I
one that
know.
was with the wormhole. He said they is just us from the future.
Exactly. Exactly. That's what I'm saying, bro. I really think he knows. But you see it now, right? Like if you look into the UFO stuff even more, you're like, Christopher Nolan, you're totally telling us the truth. But you can't say it yet.
Hmm.
Or maybe you are an alien. Whoa, what if he's an alien? No, okay, well, no,
Sure.
but all right, no. Not as a joke, but like seriously, because like wow, I really hate this lighting. But really because he he fits the profile of a Nordic alien. So there's like different species of alien out there, and
Hmm.
one of them is called the Nordics, who are very tall, white, light skinned. They're saying that they could walk amongst us and we wouldn't even know because they look so human.
Right. No, but like he's a very different person too. He doesn't have
Yeah,
like a smartphone. It doesn't.
he knows. Because no, I'm serious though. Like it wasn't until Oppenheimer that tipped me off. When we watched Oppenheimer, I'm like, it seems like you're trying to tell me something. That's why I had to read the book. And when I read the
Mm.
book, I was like, oh, this is tying into aliens because you actually like the JFK assassination is has so many links to alien stuff that that throws you down the wormhole. That's where I really first
Hmm.
started picking up on. But okay, so going back to it, uh, with the Operation Mockingbird, how do we know that what we see on the news isn't like purchased? You don't know,
Right. Hmm.
right? So did you see you saw the jellyfish UAP stuff that I've been sending you,
Hmm.
and then like the news like anchors and stuff?
Yep.
So why would only some organizations run that story, but not all organizations?
Depends on the legitimacy, I guess.
But that was verified, like UAP footage from American
Yeah, I understand.
like army.
Right.
But like, why is it not making like all the news?
No idea.
Control of information. Well, but control. I'm saying it's control of
Hmm.
information. Unless you disagree, do you think it's like something else?
Um, I don't know if other places have talked about it or haven't talked about it. Right? Do we
No,
know that?
I've been scouring, bro. I'm going through like rabbit holes,
Hmm.
and like they will, but it won't be as like thorough as that one news one that was News Nation, the one I sent you,
Or there's
where
things
like
like,
they did a whole
right? Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know the situation. Like,
right.
yeah.
But so if we know about like Operation Mockingbird that they did pay them before, how do we know you're not paying them now?
Hmm.
And like, why can this not be? Because this is what they did. Like, it actually happened. You know, like the term conspiracy theorist that actually happened around the time of I think it was JFK's assassination, when people were piecing things together and they're just like, "Oh, this making no sense," and then the media was like, "Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist," and then it just like blanket statement to everyone, and everyone was just like, "Oh, I'm not a conspiracy. I'm not a weirdo," right? And then only till now, or in like 2023, freaking read a book about it, you're like, "Oh yeah, it's so obvious that the CIA had something to do with JFK's assassination."
Hmm.
But at the time, they built in the idea of conspiracy theories to like make you sound weird. And now, if you talk about aliens and like to general people, you still run the risk of being considered like a crackpot,
Sure.
even though this is military footage, bro. Like,
Hmm.
what are you saying? You saw the jellyfish, right?
Yeah.
the video, like, what else you need, bro? Like, that is the craziest thing I've ever seen. It's not a speck. It's not like it's pretty clear. You know, it's not like the Tic Tac, the infrared. You know, you're like, oh, what is that thing that's spinning? Whatever. You see pretty like a lot of detail.
Hmm.
It's not high resolution imagery, sure, but like, you know,
Sure.
it's like, but we're not like, we're still incredulous. We're like, I don't know if that's real.
Hmm.
Like, how much I gotta show you, bro? Because they control the memes. They control like
Right. Right.
they
Right.
made us all think that you're weird if you think that that's real.
Hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. Thoughts?
People will have. I think people have some idea, but there are some people won't mention it publicly.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Do you think the jellyfish last thing because I'm running out of time, but do you think the jellyfish UAP is what do you think about it?
Could it be just I don't know? Like, could it be military equipment?
No, because okay, so you don't know the backstory of that. So what they couldn't so they have tracking systems. The military's tracking systems that are super high advanced, right? They can like pinpoint something and then like shoot a missile at it, right? The tracking's really, really good. But the the UAP that they're filming, the jellyfish, it was messing up their tracking, so they did that manually. So that footage that you saw was manually like them going like trying to track it with their like
Hmm.
hands, essentially. And when that happened, when they saw the incursion,
But where did you
they
get this
shut off
information from, though?
Jeremy Corbell.
Hmm.
He was the one who like released the footage, and he's like, "This is the history behind it." I listened to the whole podcast about where it came from, because like they couldn't really say everything. He just like dropped the video. But if you want to hear like the full backstory of how he sourced the data, like what it is, um, even his vetting process, he talks about all that, and it's just like I I can't call you wrong because the stuff that we see in mainstream media as declassified UAP footage, it came through him.
Hmm.
So like the Tic Tac, all that stuff, the gimbal that we're all talking about, that was through Jeremy Corbell
Right.
and George Knapp.
So
So
if
anyways,
maybe or
yeah.
you were saying that that video is classified, supposed to be
No, no,
classified.
no. So what happened was the full story of the. I'm gonna try and finish this up in 6 minutes. So the full story of this is he got that footage. No, no, actually, hold on. That night they noticed the jellyfish. Okay, and they sent all the troops out to go look for this thing, but they couldn't see it in night vision mode. And when they noticed it coming, they shut off all the feeds to their ally countries, right?
Hmm.
And then when they did that, there's actually extended footage, but he hasn't released it yet. Um, it like goes in the water for like 7 minutes, then comes up and then flies away. Okay, but to go back to what this thing, the reason why it's so sketchy is as soon as people arrived, as soon as they filmed the thing, people arrived and they took the footage and they left.
Okay.
Like
Right. Right.
they
Right.
went, but the reason why the footage looks like that is somebody filmed it on their phone.
Hmm.
That's like phone footage of the actual capture, and that's how it got leaked,
Right.
right? So they took the actual
Hmm. Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
core footage, but they have the cell phone footage of the film.
Filming it. Hmm.
Uh, right. And the reason why this is so bad is if you can bring like, let's say your enemy country is able to fly a drone and then drop a payload like a bomb. That's why you can't have things fly over. That's why they were searching for it. They're like, we need to find this thing because if you're easily able to go through our
Sure.
systems,
Yeah, yeah.
there's like a hole here.
Hmm.
You could be an enemy, right? So with all that being said, it's like, how can you deny that? You can't tell me now that that is not a legitimate video. And if you know it's a legitimate, if you accept that it's a legitimate video, that's the craziest UFO footage I've ever seen.
Hmm.
Because it's so big, you see all the people walking around. Nobody can see it in their night vision goggles. what the hell does this mean?
Right.
How can you deny aliens exist or UAPs?
Hmm.
You know,
Sure.
but it's not. It's not being covered. It's not like mainstream. If I say this to other people, you're like, oh, dude, you're weird.
Hmm.
Oh.
I just feel like if some things, I think for a lot of the media stuff too, things fall in the world of being classified. Sometimes you just can't talk
Oh,
about it.
that's why.
Yeah.
Oh, like it's against national security.
Yeah.
Could be. Could be. That's a very optimistic way to look at this thing. And
But a lot of
not
times,
saying that-
it does fall in that category where you can't speak about it just because it's under the code of being classified.
Yeah, fair. Okay.
It happens quite a
I
bit
can see
in
that
some
point.
things. Yeah.
I can see that point, but I don't know. I feel like this is a very important thing that
Did you
needs to
sent
be
one with
discussed.
where Pentagon said something about it, but they can't discuss it
Yeah, no
because it's
comment. Yeah, no comment.
right.
Yeah, like that. Just the fact that he said it's no comment is like that's weird.
Right.
You couldn't say like, oh, something to throw us off, like something to negate it.
No, they can't negate a video, but they can't talk about it because it's probably classified, right? Under those, or they can't say
I don't
anything.
know. I don't know. I think they just haven't figured out their spin control yet. Like they don't know how to like position this.
Sure.
Apparently, okay, we got 2 minutes left. Apparently that there's so many other people aside from like David Grush when he went to testify in front of Congress, or not Congress, like whatever that thing was. There's so many other people that are like itching to tell their story too. So
Mhm.
I think in this next year we're gonna get some crazy information about UAPs. Yeah, who all have high levels of clearance, just like David Grush. Yeah. Yeah. All right. We're gonna end it like this. Go watch UFO Revolution on Tubi. It's free. 3 episodes. Craziest thing. It's a summary of everything I've been like reading about and like trying to talk about. Not everything because it doesn't talk about Stephen Greer, but everything related to UAPs. Like they did the great job, and it was put on by TMZ. Don't let that detract you. The whole point is
TMZ does
because
some good
they
reporting,
wanted to-
I'd say.
Yeah, that's what Jeremy was
Actually,
saying.
most times.
Jeremy said that. Yeah. He's like, it sounds weird because you're like, oh, TMZ sensationalizes it, but it's really not. He's like, they do a great job. And this documentary, free, 3 episodes, they wanted to get it out to people. That's why they put it up for free. Yeah. Anyways, all right, till next week, Vish. Any final thoughts?
No. No. I don't. You can pre-order the Vision
I
Pro in the United States.
Oh, sorry, we didn't talk about all that stuff. All right, next week,
I'm
we'll
just saying.
talk about it.
Sure.
All right, take it easy, Vish.
Peace.
Bye. All right, hope you enjoyed that episode. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, all those fun things, and check out our sponsors, Zenro Clothing Co., Portian Bakery, and Podbean. Take it easy, Vish.
Peace.